I thank you very much for tuning in to That Will Never Work podcast. What if your business could grow of your values, but not in spite of them? Today, Amber Gaige, she's going to show us how purpose-driven marketing builds more than profit. It builds trust. We'll talk about it right after this.
Educate, empower, enable, impact. Thank you for tuning in to That Will Never Work, an award-winning podcast where we share inspiring information and personal experiences related to business and the entrepreneurial journey from those who are leaders in their respective field. Now, here's your host, author and business coach, Maurice.
I thank y'all very much for tuning in today. So, as you well know, I don't go off the laundry list of the background of the individual. We really tend to jump all the way into the topic. And today is going to be no different. I have Amber. And Amber, so many entrepreneurs chase visibility without clarity. But how does aligning marketing with your personal values actually give you a competitive edge in today's marketplace?
Maurice, it's such a well thought out question. And first of all, let me just say what a privilege it is to be on your show. I have so much respect for the value that you're bringing to entrepreneurs, and
Thank
I
you.
really appreciate it.
I
So,
appreciate it. We're going to have some fun today. I appreciate that. It's going to show today.
you bet. You bet. I think that a lot of entrepreneurs suffer from what is commonly known as imposter syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
And we forget that the unique approach that every entrepreneur brings to business has value. And we often forget about the fact that even though we may be in a crowded space or industry, our clients align with the direction that we do business.
Mm-hmm.
So our tone, our brand, our approach, our offers, that phrase, birds of a feather flock together.
Right.
Just because there may be 10 other people in your industry does not mean that there's not room for you. And so clarity of your message, clarity of your brand, uniqueness of your voice is what attracts people to you.
So first of all, Amber, you said a 1,000 mouthfuls in just that one little moment. and I say that because, one, you start off by saying imposter syndrome, and a lot of us, we don't know exactly who we are because depending on where we're coming from, we're told to mimic, to duplicate, or whatever it is that other person might be, that whoever, and or we look up to someone and say, hey, they are where I want to be, so I need to do exactly who they, what they are, who they are, speak like them or whatever. So as a podcaster, you say, hey, you know what? I want to be like Jim or Joe Rogan or whoever it is, or I want to be a speaker, and so we're looking at all these people, but we don't know who we are in that space. So how do we differentiate ourselves and stay authentic to who we are, especially if we don't know how to find that out? No one told us how to figure that part out.
Right. Well, I'm a huge proponent of transparency and self-reflection. I think what makes people like Joe Rogan successful is their uniqueness. And the most successful podcasters are the ones that bring something, a unique voice to the table, yourself included. So how do we define what our unique voice is in our brand? I think we have to get clear with ourselves. I think we have to be willing to be brave enough to look at ourselves in the mirror, have some self-reflection, ask the people around us who are brave enough to be honest with us about the good, the bad, and the ugly. The kind of friend that says you got broccoli in your teeth, get it out.
Right.
Those kind of people. We need those. And I think that in time, with maturity and transparency, we are able to come up with those differentiating factors. And that then creates our story. And I am a story brand coach with the Donald Miller organization, and other team members on my staff are as well. So I believe that story is a historically very effective methodology in bringing people together universally. So why shouldn't we spend time crafting and refining our own unique story?
My story doesn't have value though, Amber. I don't think I did anything extraordinary to set me apart from anybody else. So
Well, that's the first problem because you intrinsically have value because you're here on this earth, right? That's what we tell everyone.
right.
And the second thing is, I know that's not true because I know how many people are listening to this podcast right now. So,
And I only brought that up because a lot of us feel that way. So, Amber, as I said to you in the green room, don't be surprised if I pull something out of the woodwork, right? And so,
okay.
just so happened that I listened to another show you were on, and you said that part of your background you worked in customer service. So that's something that you and I have a uniqueness in. We both had come from that space, and a lot of times we look at that particular department as one of the lower levels of the organization. And so
Mhm.
when we look at that and now our value is so low because we feel low. So
Mhm.
so ultimately I don't feel like even my story in customer service is that valuable. But we don't realize that we are truly probably the lifeblood of the organization.
You are so right, Maurice. And I believe that it is through humility and breaking and refinement through pain that we grow as individuals. And I will tell you, when I took on that job in customer service in a 24-hour call center,
Right.
uh, boss said to me when she hired me, by the way, this is the worst job in the entire company. I am literally throwing you to the wolves. And if you survive, you can advance. And I went, oh, I'm excited about this.
But see, I think that's the part right there is that where we learn who we really are. You know, we
Yes.
we learn how to deal with clients, both internally and externally,
You hit
right?
on something
So
there.
and so we don't always understand what our value really is, and we don't know how to articulate it in the proper manner, especially when we start looking at other job positions outside or whatever it is. Hey, you know what? Yes, it just says customer service or call center on there, but you don't realize the type of questions, clients, how I had to redirect information. Maybe I had to write reports. So we don't understand our value, and that's why I'm mentioning about you talking about the story. Because if I have to go to an interview, I got to tell my story, right? You know, if
Right.
I have to go talk to a client or to put together a pitch or whatever it is, I got to tell a story. And sometimes we don't take all these little pieces as important information to tell our story.
You're so right, Maurice. And when we look at the pain, the lessons learned, the
Hmm.
experiences that we've had as entrepreneurs, all of that. I like to compare it. I know this is very girly, so forgive me. But if you've ever, anybody listening, if you have ever done a painting or
Hmm.
you have ever done a cross stitch pattern,
Hmm.
right? On the front of the painting or the cross stitch pattern is beautiful.
Hmm.
It is gorgeous. You flip that over and look at the back, there is knots, there is strings hanging off, there
Hmm.
is the mess. You look at the palette next to you. If you're painting a portrait or a painting, you got paint everywhere. It is not pretty. It is all of those things, the pain, the challenges, the adversity, the lessons learned that form the beautiful piece of art that is the entrepreneur and ultimately the unique business that he or she brings to the table.
So in those moments, sometimes we forget about those pain points. We want to turn our face away from that. We don't think again because of those brought us pain. Sometimes we don't look at those as lessons. Like we still win in those moments. We think as those as losses. So we want to let go of that. So how do we turn that mindset? Say, hey, we still winning even in through that pain, even through those challenging phone calls. How do we change that mindset?
Yeah. Well, I think there's a few different ways that become very personal to individuals depending on where you are on the spectrum and in your reflection spectrum, things
Hmm.
like that. I can tell you that for me personally,
Hmm.
the way that I have chosen to change my mindset is to recognize that iron sharpens iron.
Mhm.
I only get better. Scars are beautiful. I only get better by lessons learned. So in entrepreneurship, there will be losses. There will be painful learned. There will be accusations made that you can help and that you can't help, right? And as the business owner, we got to own all of it, whether it's
Mhm.
something our team did or something that we did. But I believe that the losses prune us for the future successes. We all
Mm.
learn through pain. We all learn through adversity. And so in my team this last week, we lost a long-term client and a valuable business partner based on things that they could not substantiate. It was
Mm.
rumors. We chose to hold our heads high. We chose to serve to the very end. And my team reminded me as I was crying at the desk, this is a pruning. This is a pruning of people who are not aligned with our values and no longer appreciate us. So we dust it off and we move on. So prayer, support from others, personal reflection, ownership, transparency. That's how we take those lessons and we become better versions of ourselves and of our business, I think.
And I totally agree because sometimes we don't understand because we get so caught up in the everyday, we don't
Mhm.
always see what the holes may be, right?
Yeah,
And so sometimes we need that feedback, both good and bad, for
that's
us to
right.
continue to grow one way or the other. So I think that's something that's important for each and every one of us to know. So even if you are out there and you're working still in corporate America, don't take your employee appraisal thing negatively.
No, no, take that feedback. Do what you
Right.
can with it. Be brave enough to look in the mirror and say, "You're right. This is an area of weakness. I can do better."
Right. And on top of that, if you are an entrepreneur, it's the same thing. You need that feedback
It
because sometimes here's the part that we don't always understand either, is that sometimes our community changes,
is. Mm,
and so sometimes we need that feedback to say, all right, what our mission was. We understand we're still part of our mission, but maybe our vendor their change, maybe their supply has changed, whatever it is. So sometimes we need to understand some of those changes as well. So we need to keep our ear to the ground, right?
yeah,
To understand. So even for yourself as you are in marketing, because marketing again, that idea changes, right? The principles may not change, but the ideas or whatever it might be. So even for yourself, how do you see you change and continue to evolve and even stay motivated because of AI or hey, you know what, we got to be part of the algorithm, whatever it is. How do you stay motivated, keep going and say, hey, you know what, I'm waking up with achieving what I need to achieve for not just myself, my clients, but ultimately those that I serve and people that I want to see grow and win.
right, right. I think leadership is lonely. So knowing what groups you can join as an entrepreneur that will hold you accountable. There are some great business owner groups out there where you can form a community, C-level groups, business owner groups, Rotary clubs, chambers of commerce. Find your tribe.
Hmm.
Find your people of like-minded entrepreneurs and be real with them.
Hmm.
Cultivate that community and that safe space. I think as we go through life, our circle gets tighter, but it gets deeper.
Yeah.
So find that group. Daily motivation is what motivates you. Is it exercise? Is it podcast? Is it the Bible? Is it prayer? Is it journaling? You have to dig into yourself to figure out no one else is going to motivate you, right? It's all
Right.
on you. You're an
Right.
entrepreneur. Guess what? It's on you.
Right.
It's all on you.
You're right.
But you gotta find what your inspiration is. I used to take my team through an annual exercise where we would have cardboard, glue sticks, and a stack of magazines. And I would give them scissors like we were all in pre-K, okay, or kindergarten. And I would say, for this year, I want you to cut out pictures. Don't put too much into it. This is your inspiration board for the year. I want you to cut out pictures of things that inspire you and motivate you. And they would put pictures of new cars,
Mm.
pictures of babies, pictures of houses, pictures of books that they wanted to read. And
Mhm.
we would tape those all around the wall of our office. And at the end of the year, Maurice, it was amazing to see who achieved what, just with the daily visualization of going, this
Mm.
is why I'm working. This is what I want. So goal setting is important, visualization is important, and community is vastly important.
And I ask that because sometimes as entrepreneurs, as you stated, leadership is lonely.
Oh, yes, sir.
And sometimes we don't think that there are other people that understands our pain in that
Mhm.
situation. And even though you, as you said, took it back to kindergarten, sometimes we don't understand in that childlike mentality of being
Mhm.
creative, of being
Mhm.
expressive, and even ultimately, if I'm going to share that with you, that means I'm building a level of trust with you to help me achieve my goal. So, how important is it for us to develop that trust among my team, let alone my leadership, the people that I'm looking up to?
Hugely important. We have to understand that there are boundaries in place professionally and personally. Don't expect to be friends with all of your employees. It's just unhealthy, okay? But I think you do have to maintain systematic transparency and
Mm,
communication. We have two forms of meetings in our company. We have an all hands on deck meeting with every member of our team where we are through the highs, the lows, the wins, the goals. And then we have department head meeting where the department heads come together and we work through any roadblocks that we're handling. I'm a huge fan of Gino Wickman's The Entrepreneurial Operating System.
hmm
He cracked the code, man. He cracked the code. He's another second generation business owner who watched his family lay a foundation and then he created a system. So I think the more systems and consistency and clarity that you can bring to the table for your team,
hmm
the easier it is to set that expectation of transparency and communication.
So we're going to stick with that idea of generational because I think, didn't you say, I think you're like third generation?
Yes, sir.
And so were you, because you did step out on your own, but did you really want to, or do you think it was just in your blood?
Let's go with all three.
Okay.
No, there was a season where I did not want to.
hmm
I watched what my parents did, and I thought, oh hell to the no, not interested in this. And then you grow up and you realize that your parents are not as dumb as you thought that they were in your teens and 20s. Mm-hmm. And then you grow up a little bit more and you say, you know what? There are reasons why people do this
hmm
crazy life of entrepreneurship. And for me, there is no better opportunity to pave my. I'm a little bit of a control freak too. Don't tell anybody. I like to control my time. I like to control my money. I like to control my work life balance. And I'm a single mom of a beautiful
hmm
8-year-old boy. And I was not willing to build someone else's empire at the expense of a relationship with my child. I watched generations of women have to make that choice. And it works for many of them.
hmm
And I was in private equity and I was a road warrior and I was platinum on American Airlines and I was going, had the full time nanny. But at the same time, I felt God telling me it's different. This is where I'm calling you. And so, as my priorities changed and as my goals changed for my life, entrepreneurship was the right path forward for me and my family. And I've never looked back or regretted it.
Sometimes we don't know what's really calling for us or what our real true purpose is. We may
Mhm.
have to go outside for a moment and fall, right? If we're looking at it from a kid perspective, hey, I'm gonna be on my skateboard real quick and I gotta fall a few times just to learn a lesson or whatever the situation is or have another type of experience. So I think those type of things, sometimes we like to play it safe. We get caught
Mhm.
playing it safe. So did you find yourself playing it safe or did you feel like once you started to say, hey, you know what? I'm gonna jump out there, um, I'm all in, or did you feel yourself maybe a little tentative or whatever it might be? Because sometimes we don't jump all the way in the pool, the deep end especially.
Well, and there's a lot of factors to that too, right? Can we
Hmm.
afford to quit our job cold turkey, or do we need to start working on the side a little bit and going through the pain of working two jobs simultaneously?
Hmm.
That's what I did. I didn't have the luxury of just cold turkey it.
Right.
So I do think that you have to look at your personal circumstances and decide where the risk is, where you're going to roll the dice. I do tend to be a head that's kind of, balls to the walls, brazen. So when I jump in, it's all in. And I'm kind of looking back, going, "Where y'all at? Come on, let's go. We're running." My first car was a Ford GT convertible V8,
Nice.
so I'm going. We're
Nice.
going. But not everyone is wired that way, and that's the great thing about entrepreneurship is you can start small and grow big. You can start small and stay small. You can have a hobby business. You can have a solopreneur business. You choose what you want it to be. Ain't no right or wrong answer, in my opinion.
And it's very encouraging that you say that, because a lot of times we're told that, hey, if you're not making $1 million, you're not worth talking to or whatever it is, and but because everyone's mission is not the same, we can't put everybody on the same scale. And I appreciate you just allowing people to be themselves, even with that. Like, they don't have to be $1 million a year, quote unquote, person, individual. And I only use that dollar scales because that's what we view people as, right? To say that you're successful. Well, maybe I'm living my life by supplying these. You said something about crocheting, or whether it's needles or yarn or whatever it is, but that's my life. Like, that's what I love to do. So thank you very much for even offering that idea to people to say, hey, just stay true to who you are.
Absolutely. There's over 58 million small businesses in America. Entrepreneurs are the backbone of the American economy.
Right.
We didn't do that by all having the same business or business plan.
You're right about that. You're right. So for those individuals that need to talk to you a little bit more and get more inspiration from you, Amber, and I thoroughly appreciate you coming on the show today. Where can they find you and talk to you and get some more info?
Sure. I'm always happy to be available to my fellow entrepreneurs, my blue bloods, my blue collar family. You can find us on farbeyondmarketing.com. That is our website. My book is the Far Beyond Marketing Guidebook. It is the back pocket guidebook for any busy entrepreneur that needs the 411 on how to market your business down and dirty. Here's the tips. Here's the appendix. This is what you need to know. You can buy it on Amazon. You can book a free consultation with me or a member of my team from our website, and you can follow our updates on social media. We're on all the platforms.
Nice. So of course, Amber, all your information will be in the show notes. So then any of you who are out and about and you're working your day job and your entrepreneur thing, trust me, the information will be there. You can always go back. But thank you very much for coming on the show.
It was my pleasure, Maurice. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. But Amber, I'm sorry, I forgot. I got one more question for you before I let you go. I gotta ask you the question I ask everybody that comes on the show.
Oh, I'm scared.
It's
Okay.
my would you rather question.
Okay.
Use your imagination. There's no right or wrong. Would you rather choose 3 doors or a fork in the road?
3 doors or a fork in the road?
Yes.
I'm going fork in the road
And why a fork in the road?
because I think at some point in time I'm going to be able to get on that path or take a detour if I need to.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
See,
And I don't think we should ever be afraid of changing our direction if we need to. So let's go fork in the road.
But see, that's that answer makes me think about how you answer everything else that we talked about today, where you're like, nope, we just keep moving forward. We're going to make it happen no matter what the situation is. So I thank you very much for answering that question. But because you were such a good sport, I'm gonna ask you another question real quick.
Okay.
If you had to choose to sing a duet with anyone in the world, dead or alive, who would it be?
Ooh, well, I was an opera singer for many
Yes.
years. Yes. Oh, so I do love a good microphone and a stage. I would probably have to choose Whitney Houston,
Okay.
Celine Dion,
Nice.
Jack Robin, or my fellow Texas girl, Kelly Clarkson. Let's get it on, Kelly. Let's do
All
this.
strong voices too.
Absolutely. Let's do this. So,
and,
yep.
and a lot of range too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
We can handle that. We got that.
Cool. Well, thank you, Amber, for coming on. I appreciate that.
It has been my delight. I'm so thankful for the opportunity. Thank you again for what you bring to the entrepreneurs. I can tell that you are a light, that you are inspirational, and I hope that people tune into you on a regular basis to get their cups filled.
Oh, cool. I appreciate that, Amber. I hope y'all hear that. Y'all listen? Y'all listening? Y'all hear that? But thank y'all very much for listening to That Will Nevr Work podcast, and I'll talk to y'all just a little bit later.
Thanks for listening. Follow Maurice Chism on social media to stay connected and check back weekly for new episodes. Until next time, that will never work. Or will it?